So now we will see what is the phenomena of wave diffraction. So the definition of diffraction is given on the slide. This is a phenomena in which the energy is transferred laterally along the wave crest. That is, we have seen earlier wave refraction, wherein when the wave is moving you have the transfer of energy from deep to shallow waters in the direction of wave propagation, and in that we have assumed that there is no propagation of waves in the lateral direction, but this may not be true, right. So there will be some amount of energy which is getting transmitted in the lateral direction, and this becomes more noticeable in the case when waves meet an obstruction. An obstruction can be artificial breakwaters, natural reefs, submerged reefs or emerging reefs, or even trenches and ridges can create will lead to the waves getting diffracted. So we will try to understand what exactly is this phenomena when by these two examples. So herein we have a rigid barrier which may be a breakwater, and the waves are propagating from the deep waters. These are the wave crests, I am showing everything in plan. So the wave crests or wave troughs are moving. When I am dealing with this, I am assuming it is a constant water depth, the barrier is in a constant water depth. Please recollect, when we saw the phenomena of refraction, we observed that the phenomena of refraction is mainly because of the waves propagating over varying water depth. So we will just keep that aside and we will just examine the phenomena of diffraction alone. So for that purpose only we have considered only a constant water depth here. So when you have a rigid barrier here and the wave crests come and meet the structure somewhere here, this is where it meets the structure. When it meets this area will be an area with undisturbed wave crests, that is the wave crest will be moving as it has been moving before being incident on the structure. But look at this shadow area. So herein, because after the waves feel the tip of the structure, there is certain amount of energy being spread in the lateral direction, because of which the wave fronts will start bending. So you look at this bending of the waves. So you see that the energy gets laterally diffracted. So this is the phenomena of diffraction. Now you look at this area, the same thing will happen, same phenomena will happen here. So naturally the energy on the lee side of the breakwater will be much less compared to this area, because these are unobstructed area wherein the magnitude will remain same, this area too, only here the energy will be less compared to on either side of the barrier. So whenever you have a barrier, because of this phenomena of diffraction, the wave energy tries to penetrate into the sheltered area. This is the reason why we have artificial harbors by constructing breakwaters. So you want to have calm water for the ship berthing or other loading and unloading operations in the harbor, you need not much of disturbance within the harbor. And how do you achieve that? You can either have natural harbors or artificial harbors. Artificial harbors, you have maybe a pair of breakwaters, which we will see later. Now we just look at the same diffraction phenomena with a pair of breakwaters. This is a classical example for when you try to develop an artificial harbor. So normally you have a gap wherein the vessels will flow move through the gap, and these are the breakwaters which are likely to offer you these are the two breakwaters which are likely to offer you the required tranquility inside the harbor basin. So when the waves enter here, you see that here it will be moving, uninterrupted, but whereas here the energy will be diffracted. So this area will be calmer zone compared to this area. So I hope it is very clear now. Now we will move on to, we will again examine the same thing. When you have a rigid barrier, what would really happen? So I am having a rigid barrier. Now I am considering the simplest case. I am considering a simplest case, that is, I am having a barrier which is impermeable barrier. Why I call it a simplest case? Because breakwater need not have to be impermeable, it may be permeable breakwater. When you consider permeable breakwater, then you have to find out how the energy is dissipated due to the presence of breakwater, etc. So all these things are now avoided, and we will just examine how the waves move around due to the presence of the structure. So when you have a structure like this, the same way you have the bending of waves as you see here, and this is the geometric shadow area. What we have seen here, I am just again explaining to you by considering only one direction reaching the only one tip of the breakwater, trying to explain how the waves bend. I hope this is clear. So shall I go into the next slide? Okay. So we will try to examine a bit more by considering the same thing. We considered the normal angle of incidence, but the waves can approach from any angle. In this picture we have a structure here, and we see the waves coming in this direction. So we will examine that there will be clearly three distinct zones. What are the three distinct zones? One is the angle that it makes from 0 to theta naught. This area or this zone is going to be having the bending of wave fronts, and these are the diffracted waves. Again please remember that we are talking only about a constant water depth. We are talking only about a constant water depth. So now what is the next zone? So the first zone is theta up to 0 to theta naught, which is the shadow zone, presence of only the diffracted wave fronts. So next comes theta, this area, the theta equal to theta naught, that is this from this to theta naught plus pi. So I am talking about this area. What is this area? This area is uninterrupted, that is you will have the wave fronts moving with the same amount of energy and the same wavelength, because constant water depth. In the same case, in the same condition, if this structure is going to be in a varying water depth, then this area the wave fronts will not be of same magnitude or the I mean the speed or the wavelength, where everything will be changing, the wave characteristics will be changing. So the last region will be this region where we will have the phenomena of combined effect of reflection from the structure, and this will be superposed on the incident waves. The incident waves will be moving, and then you have the reflected waves. In this case we have considered an impermeable structure, then you will have only 100% reflected waves. If there is a permeability, again the percentage of reflection will vary. So you see that there is a kind of a complex phenomena that would be taking place when you have a structure in the coastal area, in which case the water depth is normally not constant. So when the different conditions arise now. So water depth constant, presence of breakwaters, that will lead to phenomena of diffraction and plus reflection from the breakwater. Breakwaters in a varying water depth, combined refraction of refraction, combined effect of refraction, diffraction and reflection. So for simple configurations it is easy for us to solve the problem. There are some analytical problems also, analytical solutions also, but for the real problems, for practical for example we will see later how all this phenomena is considered in the field for practical problems. Then you see that we mostly resort to either physical models or numerical models. So this is an animation wherein you see the breakwater here, the presence of breakwater, the waves are moving, and after it is impinging on the structure you see that this moves uninterrupted. This is what I was explaining earlier, and you look at the diffraction, and naturally here the wave climate is expected to be very less, and you look at this area you see that you have the reflection taking place. So this animation itself shows us the phenomena of diffraction very clearly. Now you see that there is an oblique wave of wave attack. So you see that the bending of waves take place here, and you see the reflection taking place here. And you can also have similar kind, you will also have similar kind of phenomena when you have a large structure or large island etc., and you see the scattering of waves and the lateral diffraction of the waves, the wave energy. Is that clear? Some of all these animations have been provided to me by Professor C.C. Mai, who is one of the well known professors in the field of hydrodynamics, wave hydrodynamics. When you look at this picture, whatever we have seen now, that is just illustrated in this picture, where you see here, because when the waves propagate, because of the varying water depth, you will have the phenomena of refraction, shoaling, and as well as the bottom friction that is offered by the seabed. and when it is moving towards, the wave orthogonals can converge or diverge, which we have seen under the wave refraction. And now presence of obstructions like natural reefs, outcrops. For example, in India, tip of Indian peninsula, you have so many outcrops. All these outcrops can lead to some kind of, will lead to some kind of diffraction, certain extent of diffraction, and the presence of this will also lead to some amount of reflection. So when you want to define, when you want to take up some project, you have to consider all these phenomena before you plan for a major project. This phenomena of diffraction is extremely important. We are having seen what is meant by diffraction, we will now see what is the importance of diffraction. What is the important? I have here and there mentioned earlier the importance, but here we will just go into the details. Wave height distribution in a harbor or a sheltered bay is determined to some degree by the diffraction characteristics of both man and natural man-made structures as well as the natural obstructions, affording protection to the incident waves. Natural means what? As I said earlier, outcrops. Man-made is breakwaters. So when you are planning for a major for a harbor, harbors can be either fishing harbors, a small minor harbors or major harbors. For whatever it is, you need to know how you can align the breakwaters. There are several ways of aligning your breakwater. Please remember that the main purpose of providing a breakwater is to absorb, to be more specific, to dissipate incident wave energy, so that on the lee side of the breakwater you will have calmer area. So that is what it says here. Proper design and location of harbor entrances to reduce such problems as silting, and harbor resonance also require a knowledge of wave diffraction. Particularly when a very long period wave like a tsunami enters into a harbor, what will happen? The oscillation inside the harbor will continue for a very long time, and when you have too much of oscillations inside the harbor, what will happen? The vessels which are anchored through mooring lines, it will be subjected to motions, and slack moorings can become taut and the moorings can snap and collisions can take place, etc. So when you plan for a harbor, what you normally do is, one is the predominant wave direction, you consider more or less the long period waves in that area, and you try to align your breakwater and also fix up the gap between the breakwaters in such a way that you have minimum disturbance after the construction of breakwaters. So diffraction calculation is not so easy compared to what we have seen earlier in the case of compared to refraction. So wave diffraction is governed by what is called as the Helmholtz equation, where this f of xy is in the horizontal plane, is a complex and contains both amplitude and phase information. So, the solution to f of x y, which is nothing but directly the relationship between the ratio between the wave height inside the sheltered area to the incident wave height, can be obtained as given here. X by L, L is nothing, x and y are the spatial coordinates, and beta r is can be obtained in the next figure, that is next slide, which you have to see figure 7 in the next slide. So, you can obtain the value of the diffraction coefficient. I will show you the next figure. You have a rigid breakwater here, and this figure shows the wave fronts and the isolines of the relative wave height. So, these are the wave fronts, and you see that this is your obstruction breakwater, and you see how the diffraction takes place, and these are all the isolines of relative wave height, that is nothing but the diffraction coefficient. And earlier slide we were mentioning about the distance parameter beta r, that can be obtained using this picture, this result. In figure 6, again in this next slide, the dashed lines compare several isolines as obtained from equation 10. So, these are the dashed lines which I am trying to show. Okay. There are published literature available which can be used to some extent, like nomograms, and this is after the hydraulic formulae from JACE, published in 71, and it is also some of these results are available in a number of textbooks. Some of these textbooks are listed at the end of the lecture. So, what you see in this picture, on the left hand side you see the breakwater, the gap between breakwaters, that is breakwater, the distance between the two breakwaters B equal to 0.5 times the wavelength, 0.5 times the wavelength. So, you see those curves, those are the isolines of constant Kd or the diffraction coefficient. On the right hand side you see a similar picture for the breakwater gap equal to the wavelength. So, naturally if you keep increasing the gap, your disturbance inside the area is going to increase. So, this is where your this is where you need to carefully design the harbor layout. So, this picture on the left hand side shows the breakwater gap width equal to 1.5 times the wavelength. So, the gap between breakwaters is normally decided as a function of wavelength and also the size of vessels, and also the type of traffic, that is whether it is going to be one way traffic or two way traffic, etc. All those things are not going to be covered in this lecture, but these are all the basic things, informations you need before you finalize the harbor layout. So, on the right hand side you see the breakwater twice the wavelength. So, all this disturbance keeps on increasing as the as the gap increases. So you have 4 times wavelength and 5 times the wavelength, how the disturbance looks like. What you should do is you should carefully look at all these results. Once you sit down to understand the lecture, then you will be in a position to appreciate more. Okay. So this again for 2.5 and 3 times the wavelength. So in our department we have developed some basic models up to the advanced models, like see, the basic models do not consider all the phenomena. One phenomena can be just considering it only as only the diffraction is considered. Is it correct or not? Yes or no? That is in the sense, if you have a breakwater, if you have a harbor, you design the harbor for a given water depth. So I can always say it is anyway a constant water depth, so I consider only diffraction. But major harbors, there can be the variations in the water depth, then you have to consider both the phenomena. So then the problem becomes more and more complicated, so you resort automatically to numerical models. So this shows how the wave height contours look like. When a wave on the left side, you have the Chennai harbor, one of the major harbor. On the right side you have the layout of Tangaseri fishing harbor. So remember, the breakwater can be impermeable or permeable. Most of our breakwaters are permeable. Which is advantageous? Permeable only is advantageous, because it will amount to certain amount of, it will account for certain amount of dissipation of incident wave energy. So we get lot of information from, once you try to have this kind of information, you want to do some alterations within the existing harbor, then you can always feed into your numerical model and try to understand what is going to happen if you are going to change some of the items inside the harbor. So this is another, this is the Visakhapatnam port, wherein you have the eastern breakwater here, and what we have tried to do is, we have on the right side you see the 2 projections of 2 breakwaters. That was tried out as an exercise to check how the tranquility would improve by having those 2 arms. Can we improve the tranquility further from the existing ones, with the existing ones? So of course this is going to, this yielded good results, then the point of cost benefit aspect also comes into picture. By having those 2 arms, yes, we have the calmer area, but still will it be really worth it? So all these things come as a continuation of the project before taking the decision. So all this informations will be very helpful, that leads to the decision making. So this is another example showing you how this diffraction calculation can be useful, particularly in the case of layout of harbors. For example, here we have a river mouth, So there is some amount of waves, mostly the waves are coming in this direction. Sometimes the waves are coming from this direction too. Sorry, it moves in this direction too. So, can we have only one single breakwater, or can we go in for two breakwaters like this, allowing the vessels to move into this? Then you try to find out the diffraction through the breakwaters and try to arrive at the wave energy. Or can we have, because you want to have some more area for this, can we have two curved breakwaters like this, or can we have two breakwaters as shown here? So, you for a given location you have different kinds of configuration which you can examine. In earlier days this used to be done with physical models, only with physical models, mostly with physical models, but now you see that computers have become so cheap, etc. All over the world they now resort more towards, they consider numerical models compared to physical models for understanding such effects. This is what we have done in our laboratory, in our department, wherein you see the, on the left side you see the wave height contours, on the left side, on the right side you see the waves penetrating directly, as you see here the waves are approaching normal to the shoreline more or less. So, this picture would give us what is the extent of tranquility and what is the wave kind of wave energy or wave height you would have, and will it be within the permissible limit when a vessel is traveling, etc., when the vessel is moving. So, here earlier we saw normal wave angle of incidence, now we have the, so this is called as phase contours, wherein this shows how the waves are try to move, and you look at this, you see that the waves are bending and waves are bending, and then once it enters an arrow area it becomes complicated because you have reflection from the side breakwaters, etc., and so you will have a different issue. So, I am sure that you have got a good exposure to the diffraction today, wave diffraction. So, we saw what is the phenomena of wave diffraction, what is its importance, and as well as where do you apply and how do you apply. The next topic will be on wave reflection. As waves get intercepted by obstructions like coastal structures as well as coastline, the wave gets reflected from the surface. The amount of reflected wave energy depends on the type of structure, beach slope, the incident wave characteristics, and in fact shape of the structure. Shape of the structure in the sense, what I am trying to say is whether it is a sloping wall or a vertical wall. If it is a vertical wall impermeable, entire energy is going to be reflected back, which is termed as clapeytus, which we have seen earlier. If it is going to be vertical, you have maximum reflection, and if it is going to be inclined, the reflection is going to be reduced. Why reflection is important? Would you like to have reflection or not? Reflection is not that desirable. Why? Because when the wave is trying to propagate, you are putting an obstruction, because of which what happens in the vicinity of the structure, the wave energy increases. In fact, the wave height can become double the incident wave height. So, when the wave height increases, the forces increase, and there is other associated phenomena like cover under the structure, under the toe, etc. All these things create problems. So, there have been enough efforts these days trying to bring in porous structures in order to reduce reflection. You understand? So, this I have already explained. Once again, let us see this. The amount of wave energy reflected from a beach or a man made structure depends on the beach slope, the roughness, permeability of the beach or the structure, wave steepness, as well as the angle of wave approach. Badges in 74, he introduced a parameter which is called as surf similarity parameter, that is given as a ratio of the beach slope to the wave steepness. So, here Hi is the incident wave height, L naught is the deep water wave height, and we are looking at Kr. Kr is nothing but, as we saw in diffraction coefficient, Kd, which is equivalent to diffracted coefficient divided by the incident wave height. Here we have the reflection coefficient, wherein it is the ratio of reflected wave height to the incident wave height. So, this picture gives clearly the various parameters that are variables that are associated with the wave reflection. Kr is Hr by Hi, and Hi is the incident wave height, reflected wave height. You look at the slope. So, when the slope is there, Hr will be less, and now this is what is called as the surf similarity parameter, which we have seen earlier. For additional information on wave reflection, you can refer a number of books, or this phenomena of reflection will also be covered in detail under the subject coastal engineering. So, now let us move into another important area of breaking of waves. So, when you go to a beach, what do you see? When you stand in front of on the beach and look into the ocean, what do you see? You see the waves breaking in front of you. Beyond the waves, wave breaking, you see some waves moving without breaking, and then once a wave breaks, what happens? You will have the gentle uprush of the waves. But we do not really notice if there is any kind of difference between the wave breaking along maybe southeast coast of India or along the coast of Goa. We really do not see, for a layman, wave breaking is wave breaking, that is all. But for us, after undergoing this course, you will really understand the difference between or the classification of breaking of waves. Understood? So, let us look at the breaking of waves. There are several conditions when the horizontal water particle velocity at the crest exceeds the celerity. Okay. That is, the velocity when you have the crest of the wave, the velocity corresponding to the crest of the wave, when that velocity exceeds the celerity, speed of the wave, when the vertical particle acceleration is greater than acceleration due to gravity, when the crest angle is less than 120 degrees, that is another criteria. It is not that popular, and when the wave steepness is exceeding 0.142 in the case of deep waters, and that 0.142 has to be multiplied by tan h, tan hyperbolic kd in the case of other than deep waters. And finally, there is one more criteria, which is 0.78 times the water depth, that is when the wave height is exceeding 0.78 times water depth. There are other criteria, for example, all the other earlier empirical relation, all are empirical relationship which does not consider the beach slope into account. So there is another formula wherein as you have here, herein this k is given by this parameter, and am and bm are the parameters given here. So this, the parameters am and bm are provided here, wherein m is the beach slope. So you need to go through a kind of an iteration to arrive at the breaker depth if you want to consider the beach slope also. And once you know the slope, you know that the surf width can be calculated as dB, that is the depth of breaking, to the beach slope. So using the above formula, you can finally arrive at your breaker wave height as a function of the deep water wave height, deep water salinity, deep water direction. So this formula will considers the beach slope, deep water wave height, deep water salinity, as well as deep water direction. So I will just run through the formulas again. So this is the breakwater depth. That breakwater depth is going to be a function of all those deep water wave characteristics, wherein you have k equal to as a function of breaker wave height and the beach slope, and a and bm are given are functions of beach slope, and with this we can easily calculate your breaker wave height. Okay. Anyway, we will try to work out a problem so things will be more clear. Now we will move on to types of breakers. When we look into type of breakers, why is it important? Why are we studying about breaking of waves? From structural point of view, when you have a structure and the waves come and hit the structure, the force exerted is an impact force. So it is like this. So it exists only for a short duration, but the magnitude is quite high, and it is said in literature that the breaking wave force can vary from something like 8 to 15 times the non-breaking wave force. That is from structures point of view. But when the waves are breaking near the shallow waters, you see the beaches being built up. The distribution of sand is quite important. If you want to have good beaches, etc., this depends on the type of breaking. Not only that, the surfing. Why are certain beaches alone very popular? When you have very flat slopes, then you see that the waves breaking may be kind of gentle breaking. You do not want violent kind of breaking. And not only that, the nature of a beach along the coast depends on how the sand is getting sorted out while it is entrapped in the breaker zone. So, these are all some other fields of specialization, but you should know that this is why you are trying to understand the different types of breaking of waves. So, you have spilling type of breakers, plunging type of breakers, surging type of breakers, and there is a classification in between plunging and surging, which is called as collapsing. The picture at the background shows a spilling breaker. High steepness waves on mild slopes which break by continuous spilling, foam down the front face, and this is almost always sometimes called as white water, and breaking is gradual. For example, Goa beaches, very popular. So, you can walk for a long distance. And is there any parameter to describe this? Yes, there is a parameter N1 and N2, and all these parameters are already known to you. This is less than N1 should be approximately less than 0.5, whereas N2 should be less than 0.4. Normally you have deep water wave characteristics, so N1 is the one which is normally used. Then comes the plunging type of breakers, and I am sure that you would have seen a number of advertisements also wherein you have plunging breakers. It looks very nice, and when does this occur? When medium steep waves on medium steep beaches, and the waves curl around, and the breaking is instantaneous, it instantly breaks, and it also creates sound when it breaks. Then surging type of breakers, these occurs with the lower steep waves on very steep beaches, and the base of the wave tries to surge up the beach as if it is going to generating considerable amount of foam, as if it is going to form as a plunging type of breaker.